Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. I wanted to talk with you all about a few things. The Lord has just been giving me some things to talk about, and I pray that I can condense it. So, we've been talking about narcissism. We've talked about that it's what the world, calls a narcissist, a narc, a sociopath, all those terms. The world is recognizing these individuals that operate in this behavior. The narcissist is a person that they'll do things, they do evil things, but they take no responsibility for their actions. It's always somebody else's fault. They know how to play psychological games. They know how to do enough to reel you in, but yet not giving you exactly what you need as a person in terms of love and relationship and respect. And yet they will always keep gray areas, and it's always going to be your fault. And so there's people that operate this way. And if they can't control you, then they can also try to use other people to try to reel you in, what they will call the flying monkeys. So one thing I can say for certain is that people recognize this behavior. It has been labeled as narcissistic behaviors and everything. And the characteristics of this type of person is laid out clearly. There are tons and tons of videos on YouTube by people. They're not Christians, but they, some are doctors, psychologists, and then these are just people. Some are just people that's gone through it, and they are now a testament in telling other people about it. All right. And so, yes, from the natural aspect, this person is behaving as a narcissist, a sociopath, all of the above, and then some. But one thing that I find as I do look at these channels is sometimes people fail to realize this is also a spiritual thing. You can tell people and you can give people all the tools that they need in how to combat the personality traits of someone. You can tell to me, when you're just giving them the counsel of how to deal with it, it will work to a certain point. But you can't overcome a demon with step-by-step guidance in, okay, you're going to isolate yourself, you isolate this person, you cut them off, you do this. All the teachings and the things and the instructions that they may give you on these channels, and I'm not knocking them because truly they are helpful, okay? But as believers, we go a step further, and that's very important to realize that you're not all the 12 steps to getting over a narcissist. If you are not applying spiritual principles, which means you have God in the midst of it, and understanding that this is a demonic spirit, that it is an unclean spirit, then you're not going to overcome. I'm going to tell you exactly what begins to happen. People that operate in this behavior of being narcissistic, being self-absorbed, selfish, prideful, mean, wicked, evil, they just can't think of anybody else. All those terms that are used to describe such a personality, they are driven by an unclean spirit. That is why, as a human, they can do such wicked and evil things as if they have no soul, because perhaps they have been hurt, or they've been used to getting away with things when they were young, and they just grew up to become entitled, or they turned their pain into their power to never again have this happen to me, and I'm going to show you all. So they can turn into this horrible individual. But what happens is that pain is a door for the powers of darkness to enter in. Okay? Now, if you think about Judas for a while knew, as far as I can read, at some point he was going to betray Jesus. But then at the Last Supper, when it was made known that, hey, someone is going to betray me, and when Judas says, is it me, Lord? At that moment, it says that Satan entered him. Because he had already, if I'm not mistaken, there had to have been something going on with Judas in his heart that made him a candidate to betray and to do wrong. And once he was discovered, which is one of the things with a characteristics of people that you call narcissists, it was made clear who's going to betray him. Could there have been possible ways that Judas could have dealt with that? Maybe. But you know what? We don't know. And I can't say. But at that moment, it says, the devil entered into Judas, and then Judas left at that point, and then he went to the Pharisees, and he offered up Jesus. I can tell you where he's going to be. What are you guys going to give me? And they decided on a price, what they're going to pay him, and Judas was going to bring them to Jesus to set him up. So that's one of the things with people of this type of personality. It's they don't like to be discovered, and when they are exposed, they become more wicked, and then they try to get other people in on them to get other people in to come along with them to destroy you. But what happened? Judas had an unclean spirit. The devil had entered into him. And people that behave this way, narcissistic folks, and any other personality disorders that are tied to this, it's a spirit. You can get medication to treat it, some personalities to treat the symptoms, but you cannot control that spirit. And so even all the teachings and all the advice that can be given on these channels, while it is good, it is not going to help you with the spirit behind those behaviors. It is a demon, because people that deal with individuals like that, you will see that they are unrelenting and they are wicked. Guys, normal folks don't act like that, okay? But a person that has this type of toxicity and behavior, it is because something has happened in their life, whether they were traumatized, they were hurt, they were rejected, and they did not heal correctly. So when you don't heal correctly and you don't allow the Lord to deal with the heart and the hurt and the pain, when that person just gets away and makes declarations of what's not going to happen in their life no more, and how they're going to take control, and what's not going to happen, and this is not going to happen, and now I'm in the driver's seat, it opens them up to the powers of darkness, because their hurt and their pain becomes a bridge between them and the powers of darkness. So all the advice is great to some degree, right? Because some people, they just bitter, but it's not going to help you against demons. This is where prayer comes in. This is where seeking God comes in, guys. Now, people, they're doing different things. They're going and they're messing with, different types of gods and meditation and whatever. But one thing I would tell you, and I have been reading and really following people who used to do yoga, and they will tell you the dangers of it. Meditation in yoga requires you to clear your mind. Meditation in Christ means you think on. So you think on the Lord, and your mind is on God and the goodness of God. Meditation and yoga and those type of things, you must clear your mind completely. Why? And what does yoga mean? Yoga means yoke. So you're being yoked to the gods and those in the universe, those type of things. It makes you feel good at first, guys, but you're opening up yourself to spirits. And if you really read about it and read the history, it doesn't matter what you mean and how you mean to use it. It doesn't change what it is. Crack is still crack, even if you decide, I'm just going to use it, I'm just going to put it in a jar and put some glitter in it and stir it up, and you know what? It's really just home decoration. And I'm going to put some potpourri on top of it. I'm sorry, cocaine. Cocaine is still what it is. You can put it in a container in your house and say, no, we're not going to touch it. This is just decoration. I'm going to put some some crystals on top of it and some nice pretty beads and shake it up, and now I just want to have this white and blue and beadish stuff going on. That's still some cocaine right there. You can put crack in a jar all you want and just sit it there. It's still crack. So it doesn't matter how you mean it. I read a book of someone who was a guru, a yoga guru, and she came to Christ, and she was saying that demons don't care about how you mean it. As long as you're doing the act, they're coming in. You're inviting them. So I'm going to stop there. I will encourage you guys to go and check out YouTube videos of people who were like yoga gurus. They were into it. They may have been the top. They were at the top. They were doing big things, and they turned to the Lord. They will tell you what happened. So people will try to turn to other gods and other means and other ways, but I'm going to talk to you about the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the one that I know, and the one who died for me, who sent his son to die for me, because no other gods have done that. Okay? It's really, guys, in realizing that there's hurt and there's pain. It has happened. You've been infiltrated. You have been let down. You have been mishandled. And the biggest way to be free is to turn to God and let him take you through the process of cleansing and wholeness. And yes, I'm about to say the F word that nobody want to hear: forgiveness. Forgiveness is not something you just go, I forgive you. Okay? You can't do that, because especially if someone has really abused you and hurt you over the years, you can't just say it and it happens. Forgiveness is a process. If you want to see other videos on forgiveness, make sure that you are in my channel and put forgiveness, and you'll see I have a playlist. As a matter of fact, you go to my playlist and scroll down, you'll see forgiveness. And it will tell you about the process. Because so often people would tell people, oh, you just need to forgive and forget and just move on. That is insane. That's not how that's going to work. God recognizes that you've been hurt. God recognizes that you have been infiltrated. He knows that you've been violated. There are things that has happened, and he understands it is a process, but you just have to be willing to forgive. And that can be very, very difficult. But if you understand that forgiveness is not for them, but for you, then it's going to take on a whole different tone. And I guarantee you, when you are going step by step in the Lord and he's showing you and teaching you how to forgive, it's going to be something that you're going to see it's doable. It can be painful at times, but you are going to be strengthened. You're going to be better. All right? And forgiveness does not always mean you're going to be around your offender. You know, if someone raped you, forgiving them does not mean, oh, I forgive you, and now we're going to hang out. And by the way, I'm going to leave my children with you too. Can you babysit them? Because I've forgiven you. No, that's insane. So let's get back to what I'm trying to say here. One thing that I have seen a lot when I do look and I listen to some of these individuals that's teaching, there is normally a hint of bitterness that's still there. They're either cursing up a storm, it just comes out, and they're cursing about the person, and sometimes they seem bitter. Sometimes they seem they look damaged still. They're hypersensitive sometimes. You could just see that sometimes people that leave narcissistic relationships and they leave the abuse and they go away, they take the seeds of the abuse and the infiltration with them. So that when they're around other people, they are not normal. They'll be hypersensitive to things that happen that really the person's not even trying to hurt them, but because they reflect, it's almost like a mental PTSD. They reflect and they think that that's what it is. And a lot of times people who have been abused by narcissists and the like, they become that to other people who truly care for them. But they have a learned behavior. They know how to talk back. They know how they are used to suspecting and expecting, and I'm not going to get hurt again, and nobody's going to do this to me no more, and blah, 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 blah. So then they're so tipped to one side in the scale and not balanced that normal relationships with people who have no intent on hurting them and no intentions of trying to disrespect them, they see things through pixeled, damaged, traumatized vision. And so what happens is they become a burden to somebody else who's just really trying to be their friend, because the expectation and it's like walking on eggshells with this person. So the person can be guiding you and talking to you, but you still see that they're bitter and they're angry. It'll come out. You see it and you hear it in their counsel. You see them cursing, you see them talking, like some bitterness will come out. You may see them doing this cynical type of laugh, like, yeah, they're not healed. When they do that, yo, whatever, oh, I'm good. That's a learned behavior. You know, they probably learned that from the person that used to treat them like that and do that to them. The cursing and the bitterness and that heated type of talking, they know how to say really mean and twisted things. They learn that from the narcissist. And that's their defense mechanism. So what happens is, yes, you left. A lot of times these individuals, they left that environment and they got all the tools, the natural tools, how to separate, how to isolate, how to cut it off, how to close doors. They know all of that. They went to classes, they went to counsel, but they're not healed because 9 times out of 10, they have not gone through the process of forgiving themselves. And now the hard part, forgiving that person for what they've done. When God truly heals you, when God truly heals you, He's going to take you through the whole process of how it started, why you didn't stop it, how you got to this place, why were you born into this family, would this happen? He's going to explain and He's going to give you all the information you need. And He's going to hold your hand through the process of forgiving them. He's going to give you the power to do it. A supernatural power to do it, because it's not something that can be done in the natural. To set you free. So then when you are teaching and when you are giving counsel and when these individuals are on their channels and they're talking and they're teaching and they're giving it, they're not full of bitterness and hurt and pain. Because the natural tools of how to move on and how to let go, while it's helpful to some degrees, it's not going to help you with moving forward in the spirit. It is not going to heal the wounds that has been done and the seeds that's been planted in your spirit man. They can tell you to separate yourself and everything. Close the door. Yes, you can literally do that. Change your phone number, move, close the door, but you still have that wounded heart with you, filled with seeds of bitterness and resentment and hurt. And if you don't get healed, if these individuals do not get healed, they are going to displace that on other people. There'll be someone that really cares for them, really loves them, a friend that's really genuine, but they're still damaged. So they're just going to be like, they will be the one that would be having those outbursts against the person, thinking they're trying to do something and trying to set them up when they are not. You cannot have a conversation with them because they're quickly in defense mode, and they know how to hurt that person and say little things and be cynical and la. It is what it is. They learned that from where they came from. So it's important to really get healed, guys. A lot of times people don't want to fool with God because, listen, God, I'm not trying to forgive anybody. I don't know. No. And at the same time, I don't understand why you're giving these evil people all this leeway. How come you let me have this evil mama, this evil daddy, this evil uncle? Why'd you let this happen? But I'm here to tell you that the Lord will answer those questions if you are willing to yield to Him. At the end of the day, guys, I hate to put it like this, but God is God and He does not owe us any explanations. But if you're willing to come to Him, correct, He will. But sometimes the process of forgiveness and healing can be very painful. It requires us to face things we don't want to face. It requires us to take steps that in reality, why should I take this step? Why should I be forgiven? Why should I do this? They did it. They started it. Whoa, what's going on? That's how we think. But you're a spirit. And if you can understand you're a spirit, you are a soul, it is important that we are not following the impulses of our natural nature, desires, and emotions, and allow the Lord to deal with us and heal us from the inside out. When you're healed from the inside out, you have the Word of God, and you allow the Lord to take you through this process where He pulls out all those thorns and shattered glass and broken pieces out of your heart and heal you. And it takes a while. You're going to see that there's going to be a change in you, and you're going to have a peace. The anger you once felt for them, you won't feel it. The cynical behavior that you have adopted, it will cease to be. You'll be able to see things clearly. You'll be able to decipher when someone is speaking to you. You know that they're not doing what your dad did and what your mom did and what your brothers did and what your sisters did and what your uncles did. You're going to give these individuals a clean slate when you are healed. Because what happens is what happens if you don't get healed spiritually, you're going to find yourself drawing the same type of person. You're going to draw people just like that narcissist you had in your life, because you're not healed. You still have that mess in you. If a glass is dirty, it's filthy, well, I can pour some milk in it. The milk was clean, but once I poured in that dirty cup, everything's going to get dirty. So if your heart's not clean and it's not been healed, you're going to draw mess, and anything you try to mix with, it's going to get messy. And sometimes you'll mess it up because of your behavior. And other times you try to come together, it just doesn't work because your heart's not healed. Many times people who have been in narcissistic and abusive relationships, when they leave and they go somewhere else, they become what they've resented. They become what they've hated. They become just like their parents, and they think they're better than them because, you're a different model. But you're still a Ford. There's a Ford Escort and there's a Ford, is it a Ford Fusion or Ford Ranger? What is it? Ford Explorer. I'm sorry. But it's still a Ford. So you may not be like them. You're just a better, nicer, more, tolerable model, but you're still a Ford. So you can still be a narcissist even though you don't do like them. So it's important that we get healed. Healed. God will move you from that environment, but now it's time to heal. And sometimes when you came from an environment that it was just sinking sand, it was not built on anything firm, it was unstable, you'll be trying to build on the rubble. There's bones and dismembered parts and mess and filth still there, and this is your heart, and then you're trying to build on that. Well, it's not going to work. It's going to seep through the stink, the stench, the smell of the smell of a decomposing heart that's not been healed is going to come through, seep through that relationship. You're going to have problems at your job. You're going to think your boss is doing certain things. You're going to keep drawing people like that because that spirit followed you. So you're going to have that narcissistic boss and narcissistic friends, the evil friends, the selfish friends. People that just cannot, they're just unyielding. You don't keep drawing them because you're not healed. And guys, we can be healed and moving ahead, but in life you still run into them because they're everywhere. But now you have a different way of being. Your mind is different. Your heart's been healed. So even when you see it, you can recognize that behavior, and the way you engage is going to be as you are led by God. You are not going to be engaged in a way where you're drawn in by that spirit to behave poorly, to retaliate, because that's what Satan does. He uses people to draw you in, whether it's sexual sin, whether it's to be volatile with your mouth, to be violent, or to be sarcastic back, to be indifferent back. The devil uses people to put off bad energy and evil in your direction, and then you have a choice to give it back. And then as you behave that way, you make yourself an open portal for the powers of darkness to enter in, and now you're part of the team. Now you know how to cuss them back out real good. So even when we are healed, it doesn't mean that the world will just be free of these people and you won't cross them. You're going to recognize it. You'll be able to separate yourself from this individual. You'll be able to even work with, some people, you got to work with them. You know how to work with them. You know how to engage with them. You know how to correct them. You know how to just ignore what needs to be ignored. But you are not affected to the point where they can draw you back to that place where you used to be. Recognize that there is a deeper healing that's needed that goes beyond just 12 steps and getting guidance on channels and things of that nature. It goes beyond just, okay, I'm going to read my Bible, I'm going to pray. You must truly you must surrender yourself and say, God, I need your help. I need your help. I want to be able to have healthy relationships. I don't want to pass the baton on to my children. I don't want to be behaving this way towards my kids. Because a lot of parents, when they misbehave and they do wrong to their children, they always say, oh, you better be lucky. My mother used to do this. My father used to do this. You don't have it that bad. But why are they having any sort of bad at all? Don't bring any of that. Don't bring the abuse and the cursing and all that to them, because they don't know your parents. What they know is you. So you are the living nightmare. Like, you didn't know how your grandparents treated your parents, but they are a nightmare because they are all you know. And that's the same thing with children. Don't allow the enemy to cause you to keep passing on the baton of abusive behaviors. At the same time, when you get healed, if you are not putting God in it and realizing that you have got to cast out these unclean spirits in the name of Jesus and pray that you will be released and set free, and these seeds of resentment and hurt and pain and rejection and just hate, if you don't get delivered from that, you're going to keep doing the same thing. You may complain about an abusive parent, a cursing parent, a person that was indifferent, and you find you are the same way. You may think you're not, but people around you, they see you different. Remember, you and I don't see our faces. We see our faces when we go in the mirror. But we walk around all day. People see what you don't and what I don't. They see your face constantly. There are hundreds of people that you encounter in a day, or tons, 10s and 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s, depending on where you work. They see something you don't see. They see you in action, how you look when you're sitting, when you're on the phone, your facial expressions, when you're in the line, when someone passes in front of you. They see your face, you don't. So you may think that you're fine, but people see your behavior, and you're just a different version of a narcissist. And you don't want that. But you will think that you're better because I'm not doing what they did. No, but you're still doing, because you're not healed. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father but by him. Some people may reject this and say, yeah, this was all good till you got here. It's up to you. You may not want to accept it, but you cannot deny that you heard it. The Lord can heal you thoroughly. It is a supernatural healing that is humanly impossible. But the only thing that we are required to do, and the only thing he asks of us, is that we do what? We're willing. And when you're willing, the Holy Spirit, by his power, will do the impossible. All right, guys, I hope this blessed someone.